Hello and welcome to the Thomcast. I'm Tom, president and dictator for life of 515comics.com. Today I'm hoping to record a couple of Thomcasts because I really want to get caught up. I'm still behind on my Thomcasting, and so I have a couple ideas for different shows I want to do, so I'm going to try and record several and maybe post them over the next few days. Also, I hope you've noticed that my audio is a little bit better. I have no idea because this is the test. So, good friend of the show, and of me, and maybe of you, Matty, has donated his old Yeti microphone for my use in podcasting and Thomcasting and, just whatever. So, it's pretty neat. I'm still kind of figuring it out, and right now it has a very short power cord and a very short cord to attach to my camera, so I am limited in where I can film right now, but I hope the audio is a little bit better. It's kind of fun to sort of upgrade a little bit here and there when I can. So, yeah. What I wanted to talk about for today's episode is autobiographical comics. So this is something I've thought about periodically throughout just since I've been making like web comics, and especially since I've been printing comics. I have thought it would be really neat to make an autobiographical comic. One of my favorites is this one that I bought several years ago called Funny Misshapen Body. It's by Jeffrey Brown. He's really good. I really like the stories. I really like the feeling of this book. And I think it would be really cool and satisfying to do something like this. With Nextus, I think a lot about legacy, and I think a lot about how satisfying it will be to have a body of work that I can show to my children and my niece and nephew when they're older. And I just think it's really neat to be able to have something to point to and be like, hey, this is just something that I made and brought into the world because I think that it's important to do that kind of a thing, and I think it's important to leave some kind of a mark and to have a story to tell and to pass on to other people. And I think it would be cool to do something that's got a little bit more of my personal story in it. But every time I think about this, I always kind of get hung up on like, well, I haven't had a very interesting or exciting life. I mean, I don't know that there's really a whole lot I could talk about. But, so I usually don't get that far thinking about it. But recently I was just riding in a car, and I was just kind of absently thinking about it, as I often do. I just think about stuff when I'm riding in cars. And I happened to start thinking about this book, and I started thinking about what are some experiences that I've had that are kind of like related to things that were in this book. Because, if he thought that some of those things were worth documenting, like, are there things that I've experienced that are somewhat similar that might be worth documenting? My life is absolutely nothing like Jeffrey Brown's, but at the same time, I mean, I've experienced things similar to some of the experiences that he shares in this book. And those I started putting together of like, oh, that I could illustrate that. I could write out a script for that. I think that could work as an autobio comic. Like, I think that would be really neat. The next trick is, how do you come up with a theme? Because, this is a fairly thick book, but because it's in the comic, graphic novel format, there's only little snapshots, little snippets of his life. I don't want to make a huge autobiographical comic. And don't get me wrong, I have no idea when I would even start work on a project like this, or if I'm going to. I just think it would be kind of a neat thing to do. But if I do it, I'd like to have some kind of like encompassing theme. I guess probably what I'll have to do is just like, when I get a chance, start writing some stuff out and start making like a list of potential stories that I could string together and see if something kind of develops out of that. And maybe it would be okay to make an autobiographical comic that was just a series of short stories of things that I've experienced. Maybe that's enough. I guess my question to you guys is, are there any autobiographical comics or graphic novels that you have really enjoyed throughout the years? And what were some of the themes that really spoke to you in those comics? I didn't really do a review in this episode of Jeffrey Brown's funny misshapen body, but I would recommend it. It's been a little while since I've read it, but I really, really did enjoy it. I like his art style, and again, I think he's a good storyteller. I think this was a very interesting read, so I'd recommend it. Anyway, let me know if you have any autobiographical comic recommendations down below, and let's talk about them. Thanks, as always, for watching, and you guys keep your stick on the ice.